Hello everybody, Bill here, SixRounds Studio. Today we're going to give you a two-for. We're going to be working both on this Rising M50 gunstock and also this 1907 Winchester. Both of these stocks need to be repaired. Both of these stocks have cracks that are pretty significant, and I'll show you that here in just a minute. But what I want to explain is I've covered this several times over the last 7-8 years, but the channel has added over 3,000 new subscribers in the last 365 days or 1 year. This is being filmed on December 31st, the last day of 2025. I want to talk a little bit about the growth, and I want to talk a little bit about how important you guys are to the success of this channel. So over 3,000 subs in the last year alone, 2025. And I think it would be valuable to share with our new subs some of the work that goes into repairing these cracks that end up in these gun stocks. So today, as I said, we get a two-for. I'm going to work on both of these. Both of these stocks have cracks, and the fix for this is going to be the same for both of them, or the methodology that I use is going to be the same for both of these. We're going to use acetone. The acetone is going to get into the cracks, and we're going to open those cracks up as much as we dare, and then we're going to use the syringe to get the acetone down inside those cracks. And we're going to do that over several repetitions, several days in some cases, to make sure that any oil and contamination that got inside those cracks, we get it out, because we don't want that interfering with the epoxy from setting and adhering to the cell structure on either side of the crack. Now, over the years, I've had several comments come from folks who have said that they don't understand why I use a needle and why I don't just dip this whole end into acetone. They've seen other YouTubers do that, just dip the whole thing in acetone. I've also seen comments from others where guys have put the entire gun stock in an oven and tried to bake the oil out. Well, frankly, I'm going to tell you, I'm too much of a coward for that kind of stuff. I'm a little leery about taking a risk on somebody else's gun stocks. I might try it one day on a piece of crap gun stock that I've got. But I prefer a much more surgical approach. I prefer to go after the cracks themselves and do my best to focus the acetone in those areas where the oils would exist or the problems might exist. Yeah, like I said, I'm just a little bit too much of a coward for dipping this all into acetone. Leave comments if you think I'm wrong. Leave comments if you've done it. Leave comments if you've been successful at it. I prefer a little bit more museum sort of restoration approach to these things, and again, to be as careful and as surgical with it as I can. So today we are going to start fixing some of these cracks, and we're going to start right now on this buttstock for this 1907 Winchester. Let's get started. Now, the first one that I'm going to go after is this one on the top, and it goes from here all the way up through here, all the way to the very end. So I have to get this spread out in order to get the needle in, to get the acetone in. So I built a tool, and I took a dowel, wooden dowel, and I tapered it. And I'm going to use that dowel inside of here, and then I'm going to just press it and rotate it gently, and you can see that's starting to open up. But I've got to get this opened up back in here as well. So I'm going to keep kind of twisting this and pushing it in. But I want to be careful because there's a yield place in this wood where it just simply says, nope, I'm all done, and it wants to split. And I don't want to get to that point. So I'm about as much as I'm daring to go with it at this point. We're going to use the needle. And we'll pull the acetone out of the plastic jar. Didn't get as much as I wanted. And you can see the acetone in there. And we're going to start back in here. I'm going to turn it over, and it's already starting to come out the bottom. Some of it's running down the side, but some of it's coming out the crack. At this point, this bottom does not want to spread as much as the top, so I don't have quite as much room in here. So I'm going to take a knife, and I'm going to try to, you can see I can spread that a little bit. Get that acetone down in there. So I don't know if you can see it right there, but there's some sludge coming out of this thing. If you can see that acetone squeezing out, that's a good thing. That means we're down inside that split, and it's squeezing out all the way back up into here. You can see the sludge that's coming out of there. Okay. I also have another split right here, and I am going to do the same thing. I'm going to use that knife and see if I can't open that up just a wee bit. All right, so same thing, you can see So that's what we're trying to go after. We're trying to get all that oil and sludge out of there. So we'll let that one rest for a little bit, and then we're going to put some more in. This rising is the same problem. It goes all the way back up into here and comes up into this bolt, this through bolt or takedown bolt. And I don't see any cracks up in the front, up in this area up here. So we need to get that split as well. I want to get this thing out of here if I can, because I think it's holding the crack together. These look like two little nails. Exactly what they are. They're two little nails. And those two little nails fit right in those two little nail holes. And that's actually holding this thing together. So I want to see if we can't split that a little bit. All right, I got a wedge here. These are soft pine, so they're not going to damage the harder walnut. And these are starting to open up really nice. So we'll start right there. Yeah, there we go. All right. Let's flip it over. I don't know if you can see all that sludge and acetone coming through at the bottom. All right, now we're going to open this one up. You can see every time I do this, the acetone that I put in from the bottom wants to pop out. Okay, and now we want to go after this big split, and that's right inside here. Keep pounding until the coward sets in. This is why I said to you, I don't think this is the original finish, because it's literally the acetone is pulling it off. Now the last thing I want to talk about here for the moment is this has to be glued back up. And same thing, we have a lot of oils that have deposited inside this crack. This lighter wood was the only wood that was holding on to here, and you can see the mirror part of that here and here. That's all that was holding these two pieces together inside the metal itself. So I've already started working on this a little bit using a Q-tip and acetone to draw away that oil. And you know, it's the same thing. We just keep adding it a little bit at a time. Let that acetone break up the oil deposits. You know, I'm fixing Gunstocks here, but these are techniques that work with any vintage wooden artifact, old furniture, cracks wooden steering wheel on a car. I had mentioned in an earlier video that I thought that this was some kind of a lacquer overcoat because of all the crazing that is here. And I'm even more convinced of it now because as I begin to use this acetone, it's starting to peel away this finish and literally taking it down to what I believe is the original Winchester finish, which is good for me because when it comes time to sand this, most of the finish will be gone. So this lacquer is going to pull that finish. Let's try something here. So I don't know if the crazing will show here or not. Yeah, you can see some of it there. We're going to take the lacquer thinner and we're going to just rub it in that area. Denatured alcohol would do this as well. Can you see how that's coming off? It's literally pulling that finish right off. I'm sure it's either lacquer or shellac. Somebody sprayed on that sometime in the past. This is starting to lighten up right in here. And we're going to keep doing this until that wood turns wood color, which means all the oil and contaminants have been pulled out of the pores of the wood. All right. I'm going to continue to do this for the next few days. You don't need to sit through all of this. That's the technique I'm going to use. When I get close and ready to do the epoxy, I'll bring you back and then we'll start epoxying up these cracks. I'm not going to epoxy this until later, but these cracks are pretty easy to get secured and we'll do that. And I'll show you that process as well. So I'll see you guys in a few days.